Alright, just got back from seeing Virgin Punk Clockwork Girl in theaters. This is a new project from Yasuomi Umetsu, who you would know best from OVA projects from the late 90s, early 2000s, like Mezzoforte and Kite. And by OVA projects, I mean hentai. But these are sort of I haven't personally seen them myself, but they have a reputation for sort of being elevated hentai projects. And based on what I saw from this movie, I could definitely understand that reputation. But before we delve into that, I do want to set expectations for what you're going in to see. This is not a full movie. Don't care what your Fathom ticket says. It is not an hour and a half as it was listed on my ticket. It is 35 minutes, about approximately, with a lot of behind-the-scenes footage, which is really cool. Very cool behind-the-scenes stuff that really gets you to appreciate some of the stuff that they did in this short film a bit more. But this is not a full-length project. And B, it's not necessarily a complete story, which is weird for something that is, according to all the people involved, 10 years in the making. It took them approximately 10 years to spin up this project after Umetsu was done working on stuff like some of the mid-2000s stuff like Wizard Barristers and Galilei Donna, apparently. And so he's been working on this since like 2015, 2016. So don't expect like Redline going into this, like another project that took forever to get made, because it is not, Virgin Punk is not a complete project as of yet, hence the subtitle Clockwork Girl. It was originally it is listed as a film series in several places, but there is no announcement for a sequel as of yet. And based on the behind-the-scenes stuff, it doesn't even look like they are currently in production on it. With that said, this was a very fun movie. Short film. I'm going to call it a short film. This was not a feature film, but this was a fun little project. Lot of action. Lots and lots and lots of action. Which is fun because it's really damn good action. It is visceral. It is extremely gory and bloody. Lots of very gruesome kills in this. A lot of civilian death as well. This is just a very bleak kind of action series in not necessarily bleak, but like what's the word I'm looking for? I guess bleak is the closest to what I'm thinking of. And so you're getting it's a lot of like, ooh, nice kills, and it definitely delivers on that. And just in general, this is a really, really gorgeous film. Umetsu handled a lot of this. He was the director, the storyboarder, the character designer, and the animation director. And also he did some key animation for it. And you can definitely tell that this is a project that had a lot of time spent on it and a lot of talent directed towards it. Just the meticulousness of the animation and some of the cuts. Like there's this cut of our main character, Ubu, trying to stand up after something happens. I'm not going to spoil it. And just her trying to stand again. The detail in that animation was very fun to watch. There's a scene where I guess, not necessarily sort of antagonist of I'm going to call him the antagonist because he does some really shitty things throughout this film. Mr. Elegance, there's a dance, he does this little dance that lasts like a good 15, 20 seconds, maybe, and just the amount of care put into the movements was just very fun to see. The art design is pretty dang phenomenal. We got this really big sort of Mediterranean cityscape, but with some sci-fi stuff layered on top of it, a little bit of cyberpunkness to it, but it still has this very warm sort of seaside feel to it. And just in general, the color design is extremely intense and very purposeful in a lot of its implementations. This was a very, very fun film to look at, especially with the titties. Now, there is some nudity in this film, just so you know, but it's not mezzo forte extreme, but it is in there. As for what the film is about, that's kind of where I run into trouble on deciding whether or not, or I guess how to talk about it, because this is an incomplete story. It is just incomplete. It ends on a cliffhanger, and there is no immediate plans for a sequel, but maybe there are. So I'm just going to talk about what we got. I'm gonna run under the assumption that more is coming at some point. So from what we got, it's basically, I guess I could describe what we got as like, in terms of a movie, we got the first act and like a little, and like the opening bits of the second act. That's sort of what we got with this, which makes sense. If you think about like a 90-minute movie, that would be like roughly what the first 35 minutes would cover. We get our main character, Ubu, just constantly getting shafted by life. Like, she just, the circumstances that she runs into are just constantly undercutting her, trying to move forward with stuff. Despite her circumstances, and she's also extremely adaptable to her circumstances, which makes her a pretty compelling character, especially for an action film like this. And just seeing her do her best to move through the life that she has was pretty compelling. I also like, now, I will admit some of my review is being colored by the massive amount of behind the scenes stuff that we got shown in the theater, but I do definitely agree with the director where he said that he really cut down a lot on like explanations and inner monologues. There's hardly any of that at all in this film. If there's like just a tiny bit for like some side characters, but like for the most part, there's not a lot of monologuing about why characters are doing things. You just sort of see them do things and understand based on the circumstances and their personalities what is going through their brain to a certain degree. And that made the characters feel much more organic for this kind of setting. On the flip side of Ubu, we have Mr. Elegance, who is this kind of pedophile. He's an extremely skeevy man who does everything in his power to exert control over Ubu, and just sort of the dynamic there, and how Ubu sort of reacts to the shit that he does is probably the primary like emotional core of the movie. I guess I hesitate to call it an emotional core. I guess character core would be the best way to describe it, and it's pretty solid for what we got. Again, there's no resolution to it, and we've been at the very end of the movie, we meet two new characters that do not get any other introduction other than us just meeting them. One of them is naked. So hopefully whenever the second part to this comes out, we will get some explanations on that. But yeah, this was a fun little action romp with some incredibly gorgeous animation and artwork, some really brutal action scenes, and some characters that I am surprised by how much I liked them. I hesitate to even give this a rating other than, like, yes, I would recommend you go out and see this, but know that it is not complete by any stretch of the imagination. The story is not complete by any stretch of the imagination. I guess I would throw this into the... For this arc of this story, I would put this, if it continues, this is a light to decent 7. I think we could have gotten a little bit more stuff, but it's just because this is just the opening act to this series is what I'm running off of. If for some reason this doesn't get a sequel at any point, it's like somewhere in the 6 range. It's still perfectly fine, but you are going to be left wanting. That's about all I have for now. Not sure what the next movie review is going to be, because where I am at, there are no showings of Angel's Egg within a reasonable distance from me, so I can't go and see that, even though I've seen it already. You should... Hey, if you haven't seen Angel's Egg yet and there's a showing near you, go see that. It's an incredible film from Mamoru Oshii. But yeah, Virgin Punk was good. Hope there's more stuff from this in the future. My name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.